to Reedhead Homestead. Really excited to have you guys here today. We have a lot of tips and tricks to share. Mark and I were just talking the other day about how it's been a year since we've been through our kitchen renovation. And it really does feel like it was just yesterday, like the newness and all of that work and effort is still lingering, and we just can't believe it's been a year. So, you know, we are by no means experts at this, but having been through the process, we do feel like we have some really good tips that we can share on how you can save money in your kitchen, because we definitely went a lot of those routes and still feel like we came out with a really beautiful result. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. First and foremost, you need to figure out what you want in your kitchen. What kind of person are you? Are you a baker? If you're a baker, your kitchen's probably gonna look a lot different than mine, you know? I think my kitchen kind of falls into the more practical kitchen. You know, we're not doing a fancy stove and fancy this, fancy that. You know, it's a very practical, everyday kitchen. Just determine what your wants are, because that's gonna really determine the outcome of how you want your kitchen to look for functionality. My wants, personally, I wanted a lot of countertop space. So a galley kitchen, perfect for me. Our kitchen used to go to here, so being able to extend it out, that worked really nicely to, you know, complete the wants that I had when it came to countertop space. I also wanted all of the cabinets to have a shaker style. You know, it was really tough to find cabinets from the bottom, the lowers, that the top drawers all had that shaker style on them. I think that's become a lot more popular since I was doing all my research, but at that time it was really difficult to find that style, and that was something that was like a must-have item for me to kind of achieve the aesthetic that I wanted in here. And then the third thing that was really important to me was to find a backsplash that I really loved. I feel like backsplashes are one of those things that they are just, you know, in and out of style so super quick, and so I knew that if I was gonna spend a little bit more money in the kitchen, the backsplash was a spot that I was okay with doing that, because I wanted to love it for a really long time. So those are my top three things, and of course that I think kind of falls into the aesthetic, kind of the look that I was going for, and your needs might be, you know, much different than that, you know, especially like I was saying if you're a baker. So number one, definitely determine your wants and needs for your kitchen. So the second and most important thing is to research all of the products that are going to go into your kitchen, because what I found is that, you know, like appliances will go into that, but like our countertops, for example, our countertops were $20 more expensive per square foot at the big box stores compared to the place that we ended up going with. So, you know, it was the same exact product, just different pricing. And so at $20 a square foot, that saved us a ton of money in our kitchen. So definitely research your countertops. The second thing that I did a lot of research on was the cabinetry. Our cabinets, and I'll show you guys here. So they're, oh, my dishwasher's happy at me. One of the things that we were able to save money on was the actual construction of the cabinetry, and that was a huge, huge money saver. So our cabinets, they're not, they're real wood in all the places that you want them to be a real wood or look like real wood, but the actual frame of the cabinet doors is MDF. I think the inside here, I don't know if that's MDF or maybe real wood, but this whole frame is MDF, and so that really cuts down on the cost of materials, so therefore the total cost of the cabinets are a lot cheaper. We were quoted at the time that to do solid cabinetry was going to be 3 times more.
Which is a brand.
Yeah, which is a brand. Solid cabinetry is a brand. I have Mark behind the camera, by the way, so he might chime in here and there for some commentary for you guys. But solid cabinetry is a brand, well known, very high quality cabinets, and they were going to cost 3 times more to get the same look of the cabinets that I wanted. So I figured, you know what? We're not doing IKEA, we're not doing solid cabinetry, we're gonna go middle of the road. And I'm really happy that we did that, because I still got the look I wanted for the price I wanted, and I have had no issues. So I don't know, you know, if they're gonna stand the test of time, we will see. But so far we're a year into this thing, and I couldn't be happier with them. One spot that is really, really easy to get caught up in is appliances. Like, you go in and you have a budget in mind, and then you start looking at all the cool features of all the appliances, and you can quickly get caught up in like, woo, I want that fancy function, and I want this and this and this. But, you know, I kind of had to bring myself down, you know, back to earth a little bit as I was looking at all the appliances, because I was like, okay, are you gonna wash my dishes? are you gonna cook my food? Are you gonna keep my food cold? Like, bottom line, they're gonna do the same thing. You know, I do think that there are some, you know, some functions that are really nice to have, but you know, that wasn't really the goal. You know, like I said, I'm not gonna get in here and do all my baking. So, you know, having a professional you know, range was not something that was like a top priority to me. So while appliances are a really big investment, you want to get it right, you know? So I feel like we settled on a high quality, kind of mid-range we went with GE on all of our appliances. We love GE, we've been happy with them. And I feel like we did really good with that. You know, I don't feel like we overpaid for our appliances and we didn't underpay, and we've been happy with the quality and the performance of all of them. One thing that's really easy to get caught up in with fridges that really did not make sense to me is doing a counter depth fridge. Now in some kitchens it really makes sense to do that, and ours would be a pretty good example of where a counter depth fridge would make sense. Also, if you just don't have the space for a regular size fridge, you're going to need to do a counter depth. In my situation, I was like, while a counter depth would be really beautiful and finish this space off nicely back here, I wasn't going to pay almost double the amount for a counter depth fridge to lose space with the appliance. Like, it just literally made no sense to me. So I was like, you know what? Is that going to make or break my kitchen? No, it's not. So I'm going to go ahead and do a regular, you know, a regular depth fridge. And I love it. I don't think that it compromises the look of my kitchen or the space back here by any means. And we've been really happy with that. So one thing that I opted to do was to do a color on the appliances, and this was their kind of like matte slate. So it looks black, but actually has a really nice finish on it. And that was an upgrade. One thing that you might risk with doing an upgrade like that is that if they discontinue this color, then later on down the line when I want to get a new microwave or what have you, I might not be able to get a matching appliance. But I took that risk because I love them so much, and that's something that I feel like is going to stand out in my kitchen. So I opted for that. Another thing to be careful with, you know, with appliances is I do think that with a lot of the marketing, our dishwasher was like a big one, for example, that I would look at top range dishwashers and the dishwasher that we were going to end up with, and I felt like they did the exact same thing. But one was maybe marketed to be the higher end line of their brand, and I'm like, I don't see the difference. I don't see how it's going to really make any difference when it washes my dishes. All the functions seem the same. So that's just something to be careful of, because it's really easy to kind of get wrapped up into that when you go in and you're looking at all the shiny things. So as you're going through your kitchen and you're saving so much money, suddenly you're going to be hit with a hiccup that's going to cost some money. But sometimes you're going to have to pay to make it right. And so an example of that was our sink. Mark and I did a lot of research on sinks. I wanted a really deep sink, the deepest one that we could find, and that came to this one. When it came time to install it, our pipes were too high, and so we ran into a situation where we were going to have our pipes moved down so that way the sink could fit in there. And I'm thankful for Mark, because Mark was like, Kylie, you know, let's go ahead and do that and go through with it and have that moved, because you did so much research on this sink. That's the one you want. Don't compromise here, and let's just get that done. And I'm so glad that we did that, because I absolutely love the sink so much. Looking back, I think that would have definitely fallen into my regrets had we not done that. So, you know, the point is that sometimes those little things that are a little bit of a headache as you're going through the process, they usually, you know, pay off in the end. Okay, so one more thing I want to touch on with the countertops, because that is such a big ticket item. I'm sure that's not news. Everyone, I feel like that's the top thing they talk about, is how expensive their countertops were, and that's because they are. I mean, in our case, our countertops cost as much as the cabinets did. So it's like, you know, but the countertops are a really important part of the kitchen, and I feel like they are a little bit of a make it or break it. In our case, I really loved marble. I mean, who doesn't love marble? But the cost of marble and the upkeep, I kind of question. I'm like, is it really worth it? I don't know. So I found something that I felt like, you know, resembled the tones of marble that I really wanted in the kitchen, but also gave that durability factor. So our countertops ended up being quartz, and the drawback with this particular quartz was that you couldn't put hot pans on it, but it is sealed forever. It came sealed, so I'm not gonna have any stains with it, as opposed to marble. Marble stains very easily if it's not sealed, and it has to be resealed in the whole situation. So, you know, while I saved money, I also got some functionality out of it. So you're gonna be hit with like all of these little decisions that you're gonna have to make. And that was one of the main things that I struggled with. You know, I watched a lot of videos before we started our kitchen reno about what are people's top regrets. You know, do you regret that marble countertop that costs a bunch of money but is a bunch of upkeep? Those are all those factors that you have to think about and decisions that you're gonna have to live with. So I really wanted to make sure I got it right. And I'm really happy that we went the route that we did. And you know, it didn't cost us an arm and a leg to have, you know, really beautiful countertops in here. So there are a couple things that I'm just gonna give you a quick rundown of where we chose to save money in our kitchen. So let's do like a quick little list for you guys, and where I actually think that we should have spent money in our kitchen. One of the things that we chose to save money on was not having the appliances installed. And let me tell you what, don't mount a microwave yourself. Just don't do it, okay? Just pay to have it installed because it was a freaking nightmare. Unless you're a pro, you can do it. Mark and I, it was like one of those, we're gonna DIY it, and it was a nightmare. Another risk that you run with having your appliances installed, what we ran into is that our appliances got delivered before our kitchen was done. So our appliances were sitting in our garage for a good month before we were ready to install them. And when it came time to install them, our dishwasher was damaged. We called and said, hey, our dishwasher's damaged, you know, and they were like, well, you know, we're gonna have to do some research because it was owner install. I was, you know, quickly like heart pumping, right? You know, oh my gosh, here we are with this brand new appliance that they might not, you know, take care of for us. You know, they were really nice, and they ended up replacing it for us because they could see from the delivery pictures that the appliance was damaged. So, you know, kind of looking back, I'm like, you know, if we had to do it again, I probably would pay to have someone install them just to eliminate that kind of risk factor. Another thing that we chose to have done in our kitchen, which I'm glad that we did, was have the cabinets installed, have the countertops installed, and also someone to do the plumbing. You know, I'm glad that we did that, having now seen the process, the whole thing be done. I still would not do the countertops myself, but I would maybe consider in the future doing cabinets ourselves, because it really actually didn't seem all that hard. So that's just something to consider. If you have experience with that, you know, maybe you want to tackle it yourself. But if you don't have experience at the time, that was like, no, I'm going to go ahead and X that off of my worry list and have it done professionally. So one thing that we chose to do ourselves was the backsplash, the shiplap. We did the new lighting. We took out this box thing in here, the old light box that was in here. Of course, you guys know we painted our floors in here. So
we did all the demo ourselves.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we did the demo ourselves. And doing the demo, I mean, I'm sure it depends on the company and how big your kitchen is.
It's probably going to save you like $500 to $1,000.
Yeah, yeah. It saved us about $500. And so at the time I'm like, well, that's my backsplash, you know? So, you know, you take that savings and you can put it into something else in your kitchen that you really love. And so I think, you know, you kind of have to weigh your pros and cons, but I would say if you are going to DIY your kitchen, break down the steps that you feel like you can get done yourself or that you want to try yourself. And, you know, maybe the things that you're not comfortable with doing, and kind of marry the two together, and you will come up with a result that I think you'll be really happy with. I can't not talk about my kitchen and not talk about this absolutely gorgeous, you know, shelving unit. And this is something that, you know, my dad made for me. I worked with him on the measurements to kind of make this a custom piece in the kitchen, and by far, absolutely my favorite thing in my kitchen. You know, you can get rid of the rest of it. If I still have this, I'll be happy. But, you know, this is something that custom shelving definitely does cost a lot of money. In our case, I was really fortunate that my dad is super awesome and handy and can like do anything. So he made this for me, but when I did go to price these out, something of this nature was like $800. So that would be a huge blow to your budget. So certainly was going to be a huge blow to our budget, but you know, being that my dad is super talented, he could make this for me, and I didn't have to spend $800 on it. But if you are looking at doing something like this, just be prepared that if you love this style and don't have the hookup, it's gonna cost you a little bit of money. So you're going through and you're spending a lot of money, you're saving a lot of money, and all you really want to do is just not end up with a bunch of regrets. you know? So luckily, I feel like we saved money in the right areas, we spent money in the right areas, but even after all that effort, there are still just a few little things that just bug me just a little tiny bit. You know, I mean, it's not like life or death stuff, and they are all things that I chose to do as we were going through the process, so I am to blame. I can't just blame someone off the street, you know, it's really my fault. But let me go ahead and share those with you guys in case you run into similar issues. So my first kind of mistake, and I don't know if it's a mistake, an inconvenience, I don't know, you can call it what you want, but the placement of our trash cans. So we've got 2 little hidden trash cans in here, and I really love that feature, by the way. That was, you know, an upgrade, and I think that was worth it, but the placement of it, you know, when I originally picked out where this was gonna go, I felt like it should go here because I felt like if I'm cooking here and I've got my food here that I'm cooking with and I've got my trash can right there, I just felt like that was gonna work out really nice for me. The truth of the matter is when Mark is in here, when we're both in here, it's like, I don't know, he'll be here chopping, you know, cooking or whatever, and it's just like this just seems to get in the way. So originally, actually on the day of install, when they came to install our cabinets, this cabinet was over here and this one was here, so these were swapped. And I did not like the look of it. I came in and I was like, no, we gotta switch that. That ain't, So, you know, at the time, it was over there. I put it here, it's kind of in the way. I don't know if I'd like it there, because I didn't like it there. So I can't really, say for sure or not, but all I know is that sometimes it just kind of bugs me a little bit. So the next little spot in my kitchen that bugs me just a little bit, and it is one of those things that I chose at the time and loved, and this is exactly how I wanted to do it. So, you know, it's just kind of a testament of your styles change a little bit and you learn as you go. But the way that I framed out this window, I do feel like my top trim on the window actually should be about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch shorter than what it ended up being. And like, to be honest, at the time, like that's exactly what I want. Now I have a little bit more knowledge on how to, you know, do window framing like that and kind of how that's supposed to look. And I just wouldn't say it's totally right, but you know, I'm not, you know, like, oh my gosh, it's the worst ever and I hate it. At the time I loved it, and now my style has changed a little bit and I have a little bit more knowledge, and you might experience a little bit of that too as you're going through your remodel, because it's like you learn more as you go, and you know, half the time by the time you get done with the project, you have it figured out by the end. My last mistake. Can you see it? I know you can see it. I can see it. Can you see it? You know, this little situation. This is what you call experiential learning, okay? So, you know, while I am not like super mad about this, you know, unfortunately it did happen. And, you know, really what happened is all these tiles here ended up sticking out further because we used to have a door here, and so it got walled in, and maybe the drywall was uneven, and so, you know, it was kind of just one of those things that when I was doing it, I, you know, was learning how to do tile. And so I look at this and I'm like, you know what, I was a beginner. Do I know for next time when I do tile that all of them have to be 100% even? Absolutely. So you know what? It was a lesson learned and some knowledge gained at the end of the day. But yeah, that's kind of, you know, if I had to nitpick on my kitchen, that would fall into that category. So ultimately, your kitchen renovation is going to be super personal to you, but I do think that there are some common ways that you can save money if you are going through a renovation, because you know, kitchens can cost like 40-50 grand. I don't think that they have to achieve a really beautiful result. Ours certainly didn't cost that much. So I hope you guys learned a little bit from this video today and enjoyed learning a little bit more about our kitchen and our process that we went through. And I have a lot more in store for you guys. Of course, more projects are always in the works. So stay tuned, stick around, and I'll catch you guys really soon. Bye!